I'm going to go into business and be a trader. And I did. I did do that. And I started doing some trading, and that was working okay. I got some investors. I brought in a guy from IDA. He was the best cryptanalyst in the world. He was a wonderful model maker and so on. I don't know if any of you have ever heard of the Baum-Welsh algorithm or the EM algorithm. Anyway, it's a famous algorithm in statistics. He was the Baum of Baum-Welsh, so he was a very smart guy. And I said, I'm looking at these commodity charts. Actually, it was currencies that we were trading, and they seem to have some shape to them. They don't look random to me. So maybe we could make some models. And he said, okay. But it turned out, and we did. We made a model, and it looked like it was going to be okay and to trade. But we were doing fundamental trading, and he hated the model building. He said, but he loved the fundamental trading. He loved reading the newspapers and reading the tickers and the news tickers and getting ideas. And it turned out he was, for a while, very, very good. So we put the models aside for a while, and we traded. And we did very well. We did very well. But it was a gut-wrenching experience. One day you walk in and you think you're a genius. Oh, my positions are in my way. Look, and the next day you walk in and they're against you and you feel you're a dope. How could I have done what I did, and so on. There was no rhyme or reason. It was just, you put your finger in the air and you try to sense which way the wind is blowing. I'll tell you one story to illustrate the craziness. So it was a time when gold was going up. Gold had been you couldn't buy or sell gold, and finally you could, and the price was rising, and it was rising, and we had a deal where Lenny Baum and I, where we'd each have our own account. I was the boss, but we each had our own account. And in our own account, in fact, we both bought gold. We're supposed to be independent. We both liked gold. The gold was going up. It started at $200 and $300 and $400, $500. It got to $500, which by today's standards would be like $1,500 or $1,800. And I said, this is a very high price. I'm getting out. And I sold my half. But Lenny, I think you should. No, you don't know how high this is going to go. You can't. This is going to go very, very high. I said, okay. So he stayed. It was $600. It was $700. It was $800. It got to $800. That day, I happened to be talking to a friend of mine on the phone who was a stockbroker, and in fact, he was my stockbroker. And I said, "How are things, Dick?" And he said, "Oh well, they're fine. This morning, my wife Lucy came into my closet and cleaned out all of my old tie clasps and cufflinks, and went downtown to sell them." They were gold. They were gold, see? I said, "Well, you having a hard time in your family? Why is she?" Your wife said, "Oh," he says, "she's a jeweler." I said, "Yes, I know that." So he said, "So she only has to stand in the short line." I said, "What do you mean, the short line?" He says, "Don't you know that people are lining up and standing for hours selling their gold?" I said, "No, I didn't know that. Thank you very much." We had a phone in those days. If you picked it up, it was a different phone. If you picked it up, you went right to the floor of the commodity exchange. And I got Lenny in the office, and I put the phone up to his ear, and I said, "Lenny, sell the gold." In fact, and he said, No. I said, "Lenny, I'm the boss. Sell the blankety blank gold." I was more emphatic than that. He said, all right. So he sold the gold. Maybe it was $810. Oh, but he was mad. And the next day, we came in, and it opened at $830. And he said, I told you. By the end of that day, it had dropped 25%. It was down to $600 all in one day, and it never, of course, went back up. So that is an example of common sense and very good luck. The good luck. If I hadn't called my stockbroker the day I did, Anyway, would have held on to that goal. It went back to 200 after a while. We would have ridden it all the way down, I think. And so it was just plain luck that I had. But it was at least common sense that I thought, if everyone in the world is trying to sell their gold, how long can it be going up? There is such a thing as supply and demand. So there it was. So that was what it was like to be a fundamental trader. It was stomach-wrenching. So Jim Axe, I got Jim Axe, who was a very well-known algebraist, to come and work for us. And he was interested in the models that Lenny eschewed. And he got a good computer programmer, and we built some models, and he showed that the models we'd use for currencies would work for all commodities, and we were on our way with models. And, we kept fundamental trading, but more and more we were trading the models, and finally it took about 8 years. The models were good enough, and we went to all models. And then we started the company. This was a forerunner. We started the company called Renaissance Technologies, which has been going ever since. And it has 300 people. It has 90 PhDs, and it's 100%. It's 100% models, and it's been remarkably profitable for a long time. And other mathematicians came in to help. I don't know if Elwin Berlekamp is here. Maybe some of you know Elwin. Henry Laufer joined us, and they each made important contributions. So it has been remarkably successful. So people say, well, what's the secret? And well, there are a lot of little secrets, because the way this works, you have a lot of smart guys, and they keep inching away and getting a new idea here and a new idea there, and you pile them together, and soon you have an awful lot of little ideas that are independent of each other, and you can make some progress. But I think, so people say, what's the secret sauce? But the secret sauce was really, in the first instance, having very smart people working for the firm. We were academics ourselves. We had an idea of who was a good scientist and who wasn't, and we brought in and continued to bring in excellent people, not just mathematicians, but computer scientists, statisticians, experimental physicists, astronomers. We got 4 or 5 astronomers who are good. They look at data. They can't do experiments. You can't make this star bump into that star. You just have to you have to take it as it is, and that's and make models. So great scientists. We built a terrific infrastructure. The computer guys are wonderful. So we take in, I think it takes in 9 terabytes a day of data comes into that outfit. And it all gets stored and organized and dished up to the researchers and so on. So it's a great infrastructure. It's an open atmosphere. Everybody knows what everybody else is doing. And every week there's a research meeting. If you've had a good idea that you think it's going to go somewhere, you present it. If it looks good, it goes to a small meeting. People vet it more carefully. But there aren't little groups working in the dark. Oh, this is my little system, and I want you to use it. So, and that's the best way to do science, I think, in a collaborative manner. Sure, you don't immediately, the first time you have a thought, you don't run down the hallway saying, I have a thought. But, you test it out a little bit. But, so I think that's a very good way to do things. Everybody has a piece of the profits. All the senior people own part of the business, and that, I think, is good too. So we have very little turnover. And we trade everything worldwide. We trade everything. It runs 24 hours a day. Not 7 days a week, but I guess 5. And the only rule is we never override the computer. No one ever comes in any day and says, the computer wants to do this, that's crazy, we shouldn't do it. You don't do it, because you can't simulate that. You can't study the past and wonder whether the boss was going to come in and change his mind about something. So you just stick with it, and it's worked. So, well, so obviously I made money, And in 1974, with my wife Marilyn, we started a foundation, charitable. We'd been giving money away. Marilyn thought, hey, we should have a foundation. So we had a foundation. And it was a one-woman foundation. It was in her dressing room, and she had a little box with the records and so on. She studied accounting. She was actually a PhD in econometrics, but she didn't know anything about accounting. And so she took a night course in accounting, and I put something on the door of her dressing room. There was a wonderful cartoon. It showed a medieval setting, a big castle with a tower, and someone was standing on the tower addressing the multitudes below. And one of the multitudes people said to his neighbor, and to think he started life as an accountant. So, so she studied accounting, and we built up the foundation. Initially, we gave money very broadly to social causes, to universities, to a variety of things. But in 2004, which is just 10 years ago, we decided to just focus on basic science, and other kinds of giving that we did were done outside of the foundation, and the foundation grew. And it's very good. It's a good foundation. We have a large project on the causes of autism to try to understand that. It's really a lot of genetics and neuroscience. We have less applied things in various aspects of life science. We have a math and physical science program, in fact, that David Eisenbud, who's sitting right there, helped organize for us. So we have various kinds of grants and programs and one thing or another. And we also started in the last few years goal-driven collaborative projects. So that's as it's stated, it's a collaborative project consisting of maybe 10, 20, 30, 40, sometimes 50 scientists, typically in different places, but all working towards a common end. We have one on the origins of life, which is an underfunded thing. You can't imagine the NSF's going to, certainly not the NIH, is not going to give you any money for the origins of life. But it's really fascinating, and that's a project. We have a project called Many Electrons, which is sort of a material science, condensed matter physics, trying to model the clouds of electrons inside materials. It's a many body problem, really, but you have, not only is it many bodies which are electrons that would normally repel each other, but you also have, they're entangled. If you guys know what entanglement means, it's a strange phenomenon in quantum mechanics. So modeling these big clouds of electrons is extremely difficult to do, even though the first principles are well known, but so what? And so that's a project, and that's going quite well, actually. We have a project in microbial oceanography, studying all the interactions between the myriad of microbes in the oceans, and a number of other things. So it's quite a vibrant foundation, and I think maybe some people here have been beneficiaries. Anyone gotten a grant from us? Yeah. Oh, you're all in the first row. Okay. I didn't realize that. Okay, well, I mean, I knew some people here got grants. So we give all oh, but someone way back there. Why aren't you in the first row with these beautiful girls? So that's the foundation. Now, actually, under less than wonderful circumstances, I went back to my older age to do mathematics again. And in 2004, we lost a son. We lost one of our sons, and that was obviously very sad. And kind of as a refuge, I just started thinking about math. And, you know, doing mathematics, you can retreat into your head, and you're just thinking about a problem, and it can blot out other stuff. And I thought about a problem in what's now called differential cohomology that I had thought about before, and I got serious about it. And it turned out I later discovered there was a group of Germans. Any Germans in the audience? Well, anyway. Okay, there are some Germans in the audience who were working on the same problem. I didn't know that at the time. But I got an idea of how to solve it. But it needed some topology, which was beyond me. And I spoke to my friend Dennis Sullivan, who probably you've heard of, who's a great topologist. And together we solved this problem. We beat out the Germans. They were very nice Germans, actually. They came over and they had some other results that we didn't have and so on. And so it was all very collegial, but nonetheless we beat them. And so that was gratifying. And since then I've written a couple of other papers with Dennis. So I'm back, small way, doing some mathematics.